Alright, what's up y'all, LakerFan here. As y'all can see by the title of today's video, guys, Season 2 of ranking all 24 takeovers in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. So to explain how this is going to work, if you're new to the channel or new to the series, every text color is going to indicate what the former ranking was. So for instance, with post playmaking and power backdowns, I had these takeovers in the E tier, I had no F tier takeovers, and then for advanced gathers and interior badge drop, I had them in the D tier, so on and so forth, for the green matching the C tier, the yellow matching the B tier, the orange matching the A, and the red matching the S. So to get straight into this, the first two takeovers that we had are going to be staying in the E tier where it already belonged in the first place, and I wanted to reveal interior badge drop at the same time to show you what one would look like if it moved from the D to the C tier. So all three are going to be revealed at the same time. But to start with the two post takeovers, first and foremost with power backdowns and post playmaking, I feel like there's already badges in the game that are related to this with backdown punisher and obviously post playmaker, and then you even have things like dimer as well, or just realistically they're very specific, and we're going to talk about that with glass clearing dimes too. I just feel like when it comes to these takeovers, you want something that's actually like really powerful and can really assert its dominance or be really annoying for your opponent to deal with in terms of a glass take or a lock take or a rim take, whatever the case may be. And these two takeovers are just not that, if you ask me. I understand the utility in power backdowns and how it really help you really punish your defender and just like really back him down aggressively, but it's already easy to do that, and all it does is save you a little bit of time. If we're being completely honest, it's gonna save you maybe one or two power dribbles that are gonna resist maybe getting the chair pulled like 2 frames, but that's already hard to do in the first place. I really don't think these two takeovers have any utility other than maybe if you're doing like my career with power backdowns, but me personally, I don't think they really belong anything higher than E tier. Next on the list, we got interior badge drop, moving from the D tier to the C tier like we were talking about. What's really cool about this takeover, and I never even thought this would be something that would relate to it, but it actually was dropping my brick wall. Someone I was playing against had this takeover on, and it was dropping my brick wall, which is a defensive badge, but technically obviously it's related to what you do on offense. That's why I've never even understood why that's related to the defensive badges rather than finishing, if you ask me, but that's a story for another day. Anyway, long story short, like I said, it was dropping my brick wall, it was dropping everything to do with my finishing badges, lob city finisher, you know, all types of like back down punisher stuff, or drop stepper, whatever the case may be, or just all the grace under pressure, mouse in the house. I mean, the list goes on, and it's really good for stopping post scores. It's really good for that. But I will say it's not like a super high tier badge just because I feel like there's a better rim take out there in the first place. And on top of that too, you have to talk about kind of gameplay meta and how everything kind of works, and realistically, dropping people's finishing badges isn't exactly a huge deal in this game unless it's for post scores. I feel like there's not a lot of slashes out there. There's not a lot of people going for contact dunks. Even if there is, again, stuff blocks is probably the better takeover anyway. We'll just leak that right now. But long story short, I think interior badge drop belongs in the C tier now. I was sleeping on it a little bit. I didn't understand that it actually dropped brick wall too, which is really cool. But like I said, I feel like it's maybe more of like a takeover that would help you resist post scores. But anyway, moving along, we got advanced gathers moving from the D tier to the E tier. I have tried this quite a bit myself. You guys know me, pure slasher, 99 driving dunk, 25 3-pointer, and honestly, you guys also know me if you watch the mixtapes. I love to do spin layups and the hop dunks and stuff like that too, and I don't really see a lot of added bonus or utility when I do them. So if that's all it's good for, then me personally, the takeover just isn't that good. And I feel like the reason for that is because the only time you should do those is the right situation, where maybe you have someone overplaying your ball hand and you do the spin lay to get him off of you and move to your right very quickly. And honestly, there's not something that takeover can really help with that. It's not something that you force upon somebody. Those spins and hops are more accessory moves that you have to do at the right times, and I don't think takeovers allow you to just really force it and do it every single time, or in the inopportune times that it doesn't belong to be done. So we have advanced gathers coming in the E tier now. Our first takeover coming in the D tier, we have glass clearing dimes moving from the C to the D. Now, here's my reason for this, right? I feel like it's very specific with how you have to actually activate this takeover. I feel like for the amount of time that you have the takeover on, there's probably going to be like at most maybe 3 situations that it actually arises, where you're going to be grabbing the rebound and passing out to your teammate, or it is kind of understandable for rec and pro-am, I will say, where if you grab the rebound, it also helps you throw outlets cleanly as well. So that's something to be said. But either way, me personally, I don't like takeovers that only work in very specific situations, and in those specific situations don't really change the game like crazy. So for me personally, glass clearing dimes, it's just not powerful enough to really see its any utility, and I feel like I was overrating this a little bit by even putting it in the C tier. It definitely belongs in the D. It might even belong down here with the E takeovers. I'm not gonna lie, like it really is low bottom D, I would say. Alright, so our first B takeover is going to be box out wall, moving from C to B tier. And what I gotta say about this takeover right here, it's actually really useful in the terms of getting worms and stuff like that too. Now, I knew that originally, that it had a double utility in terms of it's good for boxing out people as well as it's good for doing the worms, but I have kind of been playing on taller bigs lately and understanding the utility and the usefulness of this takeover right here. And I'm not sitting here saying it's the best glass takeover by any means. I actually love See the Future, and we'll talk about that when we get there. But me personally, I can understand why you would want to run box out wall. If you want to run both and play for double takeover, I can see the usefulness in that as well. But either way, it's a pretty solid takeover. Obviously, like I said, helps you box people out, and for the utility of actually like worming people and getting past them on that, it's really good. And again, I don't really see why you'd ever run something like glass clearing dimes, where you just have so much more usefulness with a glass takeover and box out wall and See the Future. And I just don't really see any usefulness in either of, anything that's below like C tier when it comes to this list probably. One other thing I want to mention about other glass takeovers as well is I feel like you actually set really big screens when these are activated too, which is kind of a hidden ability, I feel like, and maybe some people will disagree or agree with that. Feel free to leave your feedback in the comments on anything I say in this video, but I do feel like a hidden ability with every glass takeover is that you do see bigger screens, better screens, and just nasty big bodies when you have it activated. So that's another thing to add to this box out wall thing. And realistically, if you're a tall big who likes to play for the rebounds and maybe the only takeovers you have is maybe glass cleaner and rim protector, I would like to say that I think See the Future and box out wall are the two best ones you can run, and then stuff blocks can be a really good one after that. So our second rim takeover coming at the C tier is going to be paint intimidation. So we have both of these right here, interior badge drop and paint intimidation for the rim takes, and this one's gonna be staying in the C tier. I feel like paint intimidation, it's right where it belongs. Honestly, it's gonna help you get contest on interior stuff. I will say for pro-am, where it's becoming really mash heavy, where like 7-3s are coming off the pick and rolls with a really undersized guy trying to guard him on the backside, because people have like really small bigs for the hedge defense and trying to help their point guard, and with that speed they can kind of cover ground for two people. But then on top of that, you have like crazy tall bigs just getting no contest on the interior because they're super tall with the mouse in the house and stuff. Long story short, I think paint intimidation actually serves a pretty good purpose in terms of stopping post scorers as well. But that's about it. It's not going to help you in any regard of stopping slashers, if you ask me. Now listen, I know you're maybe someone who runs paint intimidation and you're like, I stop slashers, amazing. Well, you probably have 97 block and 95 interior defense, and you're almost like 7 foot plus or 7'3". You're gonna stop them good anyway. All right, your paint intimidation is not helping you do that. It's just, I feel like realistically you would want to run things like stuff blocks. I'm gonna just be completely honest. All right, so now's the part of the list where you see a lot of variance in terms of where we had them in season 1 to season 2. So we have extreme clamps moving from C tier to A tier, and I gotta say, I was sleeping on this takeover. I didn't think it would really help you in terms of your lateral movement. I thought all it was gonna be good for was a maybe like random bump here and there, and the reason I was sleeping on this because last year in 2K21 Next Gen, it was horrible. I tried running this a lot and it didn't do anything for me, and I gotta say, it's completely different now. I gotta say, if you are going to run a lock takeover, I highly suggest that it's gonna be extreme clamps. I think intense jump shot contest, I can see the reason why you want to run it. That's why I was using it in Pro-Am as well, and it's just frustrating. I mean, I'll be jumping at people and getting literally like 11s and stuff like I had been before, and it's almost like the takeover's not even there. But obviously it's still lock takeover, so we're gonna have that in a decent level. But as you can see, it's something that we had in the B tier. I can promise you it's not there anymore. But anyway, long story short, extreme clamps, really good at getting bumps. It's gonna cut people off like crazy. It forces pickups like crazy too. If you're playing on the 1v1 court, you have to run this takeover. It's disgusting. And then for twos, it's still pretty good too, because you're forcing pickups, and the more situations you can have them kind of having to throw passing lanes, the better. And realistically, that goes for any court. The more chances you can get at people having to panic and throw really bad passes because they got the forced pickups, the better. And like I said, it really cuts people off like crazy. It's really good for ISO defense. I highly suggest you guys run this if you get the chance to. Next takeover, seeing an even bigger increase on the list, we got team badge boost moving from C tier to S tier. So what I'm gonna say about this takeover is, if you know that your teammate is gonna run this, you can run a really good badge set to counter and kind of help with this takeover being ran. So what this takeover is gonna do is, it's gonna raise your teammates' badges in every category from finishing, playmaking, and shooting. No defense, however. That is one thing that's a little bit unfortunate about it, but it's going to raise every offensive badge by 1 level. So if you're someone who's running with someone who's running team badge boost, you could run everything on no higher than gold. And obviously that means when you don't have the takeover on, it's going to limit you in certain aspects. But if you're someone who has maybe like silver catch and shoot, bronze corner specialist, you have maybe bronze lucky 7, you have everything to do with finishing on gold, maybe lob finisher, stuff like that. long story short, when that takeover is activated, every one of your badges is going up a level. And to speak to maybe running double ball handlers or double ISO, what would be even more crazy is if someone, you guys could both, honestly, if you're running 2-6-7s on the 2v2 court or something like that. And also, I must say, this is really good for Pro-Am as well, and honestly even threes. But long story short, just in any situation that you have 2 ball handlers, let me just run this through your guys' head, and maybe you could take this and apply it to your own gameplay. So if you have 2 ball handlers and one has the team badge boost activated, what you could do is you could just go to the corner with your playmaker takeover or sit wing, whatever the case may be, and your teammate who's also a ball handler would be seeing an increase to all of his playmaking badges, all of his shooting badges, and you'd be the nice guy who's running team badge boost to help him out and let him really go crazy. And then on top of that, when he has all his badges being boosted, then he's getting his takeover progress up, and then he's activating team badge boost, and then you get the bonus off of that. So long story short, this takeover is really freaking good. Like, I cannot say enough about it. It's crazy. And then on top of that, you have the utility in the playmaker takeover just in general, where people will hit shots better off of your passes. Like, playmaker takeover just has a built-in like dimer to it pretty much. So long story short, team badge boost is really good. I highly suggest you guys check this out if you have playmaker takeover. Next, we got easy blowbys moving down from the C tier to the D tier. My reasoning behind this takeover running in the first place was if you're someone who's maybe isoing, and this is all 2v2 related when it comes to this, to be honest with you, because getting drive-bys and ISOs for 2-pointers are really good on 2s. Like, if you're doing efficient things and just dunking the ball really cleanly, then it makes sense to do so. And what I was thinking would be a really good pair for this takeover was to run it on someone who can still shoot the ball, and then they have to respect your 3-pointer. Maybe you play for double takeover and you have a sharp take activated as well as easy blow-bys, and people try and play up on you, boom, just like that, you are just gliding right past them. That's not what this takeover is really that good at, though. Honestly, I feel like it's more for like mashing and like really trying to push past somebody. And on top of that, like, why, if you're a slasher and that can't shoot the ball, why are people playing you high enough to the point where they're actually like on your hip at the 3-point line? So in my opinion, just a really bad takeover. If you're a slasher, why not run finishing moves? If you're a sharpshooter, I don't really think you need this takeover to really get past people. I think just them having to respect your 3 in general is enough. So that's how I feel about easy blow-bys. Definitely not one of the best takeovers in the game. Next one on the list is going to be advanced post moves. This is going to help you with drop steps, all types of stuff like that, post spins, clear outs, whatever the case may be. And honestly, I think the playstyle of that is pretty good. I'd like to think that if you're someone who's kind of sitting down low, you're going with all the interior stuff. Like, people got like crazy over the drop stepper being in the B tier on my finishing tier list. And I just feel like that was a pretty good spot for it. I don't think B tier takeovers or badges are really a bad like rating, honestly. But either way, drop steps, post spins, you got the clear outs of just pump faking, and it just pushes people as well. Like, it's on that 2K19 stuff where you guys know if you played the game, where post takeover, if you would pump fake, it would just like push people out the way, and then you could just go up and dunk. It was crazy, and it does that with this takeover, and it also does that with the glass takeovers too. Like, I've tried running that, and with box out wall and see the future, you'll get those sometimes. It's really cool. But anyway, long story short, for advanced post moves, I think this supports a lot of people's playstyle if you are a post scorer, and I think it's pretty good. Now, it's definitely way better than the other 2 post takeovers. Like with power backdowns and post playmaking, I just feel like these are complete garbage. And we have 2 post takeovers as well. This is the only takeover in the game, like category wise, that has 4 of them. So post takeovers have 4. Every other takeover has 3 except sharpshooter, which has 2, which with limitless range and spot of precision. But anyway, long story short, advanced post moves, I think it's pretty good. I think it's something that you would value as a post scorer, and we don't need to repeat ourselves like 5 times on it. Next up, moving from the B tier to the A tier, we have See the Future. Now, this is one of my personal favorites. I'm not gonna lie, like, I run this on double too, so I'm gonna explain a little bit with this takeover. So I love it already just for popping single takeover on it, but if you run double, it's gonna allow you to just see it instantly. Now, that's what a lot of people's beef is with this takeover. They feel like it pops up too late. Me personally, I feel like it's really good. It's doable. I don't think it takes too long to pop up. I think the visual cue is good enough to the point where I can like actually see where the ball's gonna go, and it impacts the way that I rebound, and it's really good. It lets me know when misses are coming as well rather than actual makes, and then on top of that, like I said, it just boosts your rebounding ability. And I just feel like See the Future is really good. Like I was mentioning with the other glass takeover as well with box out wall, it also helps me set bigger screens too, which is crazy. And on top of that, like I said, there's even clear outs when I'm down low and I'm mashing and my dude just pushes the dude out the way. I can't say enough how good See the Future is. You could even make the case that it's in the S tier, to be completely honest with you, but I know a lot of people are hating on this takeover. That's all I ever see or hear from the people I play with, that it pops up too late. For me personally, and I feel like for every other big out there, you should really value this takeover. It is good. it lets me see where the ball's gonna go, and it really changes the way that I rebound. And even on top of that too, for Pro-Am, I can call out where the ball is going, and if I can do it quickly enough, that my teammates are actually gonna be able to know and prepare that it's gonna be coming to them. I know that happens a lot faster than it like sounds, and it's not easy to do that, but either way, like I said, it is a really good utility takeover that I cannot say enough how much I love. Next up in the C tier, we have enhanced jump shot contest, moving down from the B to the C. And I don't know, honestly, this takeover is a little bit depressing, to be completely honest with you. Like, if this worked really well and how it should, people should be afraid to literally just shoot the ball on you. Like, they should be afraid to shoot in the vicinity of you at all, and that's just not the case, unfortunately. Now, lock takeovers are still pretty good. The utility and the need for this badge is there because, once again, it's hard to get jump shot contests, so anything that can help you do so is pretty nice. Don't get me wrong, I mean, it still helps get the contest sometimes, but it's not like the panic factor that I feel like it should be, where people should be afraid to shoot the ball in your vicinity. So, long story short, 2K, if you're watching this, I think everybody who runs a lock takeover or is a lockdown would really appreciate this takeover seeing a boost. And I don't know, long story short, it's not as good as I thought it was originally. I had it in the B tier. Honestly, for a period of time, I even had it in the A tier because I was like, yo, like, I'm playing hedge D here. I need help, like, getting jump shot contests to be able to help my guard, and then also lock takeovers would help me move better. And I'm not gonna lie, it does do that. Like, it's actually a good utility for that. So, honestly, that's why I have it in C. It's still runnable. It's still, like, good enough, but it just isn't, like, overpowering or, like, fearful enough to the point where I feel like it's really valid to put in the B or the A tier. So that's where I have jump shot contest. Next on the list, we also have another B tier takeover moving down to C with team ratings boost. Honestly, I don't know why you wouldn't just run team badge boost, to be real with you. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice that your team would have their ratings boosted, but at the same time, I mean, to have maybe at most like 4 ratings boosted to your team in terms of like, yeah, they would get their 3-pointer, their ball handle, their dunk, all types of stuff like that, maybe even their defense as well. I haven't really tested that, to be completely honest with you, but yes, maybe those +4 ratings would be nice to have in every category. But to be honest with you, when you could just be boosting somebody's badges, like literally 15 of them, maybe even 20 of them by 1 level up, in those situations too where it's really expensive for people to up their badges from gold to Hall of Fame. So if you're able to literally do that for them, you're saving them all. I mean, think about literally how almost every Hall of Fame badge costs you 2 badge points to put up from gold. So if you're boosting somebody's badges, like 10 of them, that's literally 20 badge points worth that you're boosting just like that for having that team badge boost on. And really the reason I have this low is just because of in comparison to team badge boost. Don't get me wrong, I still think every takeover on the playmaker category is really good. I like what it does. It helps people make really contested jump shots. It helps them just knock down literally everything in this game. And that really probably just comes down to the fact that shooting is easy in this game. But anyway, team ratings boost, it's definitely still decent. Like I said, again, with the same thing with enhanced jump shot contest, it's just not as good as you would want it to be, but either way, it's not like horrible. So anything in the C tier and up, I could still see a reason for running, is what I'm getting at. But I don't know if there's any point in doing this when you could just run team badge boost. And then we have another playmaker takeover that's up here, and this is also really freaking good. So long story short, I just don't think team rating boost really compares to the other playmaker takeovers. Next up, our highest rated finishing takeover, we have finishing moves coming in at the B tier. This is just going to stay where it was originally. I feel like you could make the case for this being in the A tier just because it's the best slasher takeover you can possibly put on, but honestly, it's a little underwhelming. I feel like the meter size doesn't really increase very much. I feel like your ability to just get those contact dunks to pop off that much more doesn't really change. I mean, it's already easy to go for the contact dunks. You don't really need help getting the animation more. What would be nice is if the meter size was to increase off of this takeover being on. It doesn't really do that. So maybe it's different for someone out there who has the 92 driving dunk because it would be boosting your driving dunk and stuff like that. Whereas for me, I have 99, so I don't know if you can even go up any higher. I know 2K Toots and 2K Labs have referenced that in terms of how your ratings can't go past 99. I don't know if that's like facade. I don't know if that's really like true or not, but either way, to me, finishing moves is still the best slasher takeover, and I'm not sitting here trying to like down it the whole time. I mean, it's in the B for a reason, and it's pretty useful in the sense of it helps you get the lobs more, it helps you get the contact dunks more. For me, I don't really have a problem getting more contact dunks though, so honestly, I just run this on 2s for my slasher. I don't know if anybody else out there really relates to the playstyle that I even have anyway with the whole like slasher takeover, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think on the finishing takeover for this, for the finishing moves, and really all the other slasher takeovers as well. I feel like they're pretty underwhelming, to be completely honest with you, but to put it in the B tier isn't really like disrespect or gassing it up too much. I feel like it's right there. Like it definitely belongs right in the middle of B tier. Alright, so now we get into all the A tier takeovers or higher in the former list, so you can assume that most of these are going to be pretty good, but I might be dropping a couple of these as well. So we have 2 shot creator takeovers being revealed at the same time. We have negative impact and ankle breaking shots. To talk about ankle breaking shots, first and foremost, this is a nasty takeover. Like, if you are someone who fits this playstyle and you run like Space Creator, Circus 3s, I mean, we've talked about this in the last 2 videos, right? We did the playmaking that we were talking about the Space Creator, then we did the shooting that we were talking about the Circus 3s, and in both of those I mentioned and referenced the ankle breaking shots paired up with those. And if you pair up all 3 of those things together, man, it is crazy how well you can do and perform. And it's really just kind of a bailout to some extent that you can just hold down on your stick and do hop jumpers. And if you break people, you're wide open. You don't even have to shoot the hop jumper itself. You could just break them and then just stand still while they're on the floor and just shoot. And honestly, it's crazy. And then with ankle breaking shots too, you can still break people's ankles outside of doing like Space Creator related things. You can still go for ankle breakers. You can still abuse the fact that you can run ankle breaker, tight handles, and Space Creator, then still have the Circus 3s, then still have ankle breaking shots too to floor people. I mean, this takeover is really good, and it fits a lot of people's playstyle, regardless of if it's your shot creator out there, or you're just doing the quick stops, you're out here dribbling, or you're isoing trying to break people. Either way, the takeover is really good. You can even make the case that it does belong in S tier, but I don't think it really fits the power that the 3 or 4 that we have in there really has. Next up, we have negative impact. This is going to be dropping the contests on fades, spin jumpers, hop jumpers, whatever the case may be. Once again, another shot creator takeover. I don't think this is as good as ankle breaking shots, and this is probably on the lower side of the A tier, to be honest with you. I just don't think, like, you have so many options when it comes to the shot creator takeovers, the sharp takeovers, the play takeovers. So it really finds its way like down and saturated. Just that, like, this is still really good for a takeover option, but there's so many other good options in the situation where you're someone who has this takeover. You probably have the ability to have every playmaker and every sharp takeover as well. So it's just hard to really find a lot of utility and need for running the negative impact, but it's still pretty good. I mean, it drops contest on, like I said, fades, hop jumpers, pull-ups, whatever the case may be, and it's still a good takeover. Next up, we have perimeter badge drop moving down from the A tier to the B tier. I was debating maybe even moving this down to the C. This is going to be one of the lower B tier takeovers that we have, and the reason I'm dropping this is I feel like gold unpluckable was so important to have on a build, and anything less than that was getting completely just ripped constantly. And like, if you had silver unpluckable, it was devious, like what you were able to do in terms of the plucks. So now the pluck steals have been nerfed. I feel like unpluckable has also seen a buff, and then on top of that too, it just made it so perimeter badge drop isn't exactly as runnable and usable. Now, when plucks were going super crazy, I'm gonna be honest with you, this takeover right here is probably S tier. You were dropping people's unpluckable when you had it on. Your steal rating was through the roof. If you already had 99, I mean, you're just going crazy on these people with Hall of Fame pickpocket and 99 steal rating, dropping their unpluckable 1 tier, dropping all their playmaking badges while doing so. People can't shoot in your face as well because now you also are dropping their shooting badges. I mean, realistically, this is still good because of that. It's still dropping all of those badges. I just feel like the one thing I wanted to knock it for and drop it down a tier is going to be the fact that it doesn't really see a lot of super OP and like just assert your dominance with it anymore, where you can completely just rip people. Now it's not quite as useful in that sense, but it's still a good takeover by all means. Also coming in the B tier, we have post shot daggers moving down from the A tier, and again, this takeover, I think I just overestimated a little bit. I saw the utility in hooks and fades and stuff like that and how good they were, and they are still good, don't get me wrong. I just feel like I don't see a lot of post scorers out there doing that unless they're playing in that exact style that I see first and foremost on our Pro-Am team, where I'm an inside big, yet we have a 7-3 in the corner, so when he grabs the ball, I am kind of clogging the paint in a sense, and the only thing he can go for is hooks and fades because he can't do drop steps because I'm in the paint. That's not really a style that a lot of people have in this game, and reasonably so. I mean, if you're on 2s, that's probably never happening for you. If you're a post scorer, you're probably playing with someone who can shoot. If you're not, I will say post shot daggers, pretty good, and it's still good for what it does. I mean, it really boosts your ability to hit hooks, fades, all type of stuff like that. I'm sure you guys have seen on current gen how dudes are hook shotting from literally the 3-point line, and I think you could even do it on like next gen as well. But you could do hop jumper, you could do post hops to the 3-point line, you could do fades, whatever the case may be. This is going to help all types of those things, right? For the post hops, fades, hooks, whatever the case may be. It's still a really good takeover. I think it doesn't really belong in the same like conversation as these A tier ones though, if you ask me. Moving along, we got limitless range moving from A tier to S tier. I don't know why I ever put this takeover in the A tier in the first place. I mean, anything sharp takeover literally just belongs in S tier because it just rules the game. I feel like I could probably count on one hand how many times I've seen anybody with sharp take just miss flat out in this game, where they just smoke a jump shot if, like, unless they shot like a literally very early or very late, or maybe the occasional late and early. But if they've shot a slightly on anything, I've probably seen it miss like 4 times, and I've played almost 1,000 games to this point. I mean, it's crazy. Like, so sharp takeover just in general needs to be respected in that regard for S tier, no matter which one you're talking about. And limitless range is also still good. Now, I think that the spot up precision is way better than limitless range. I feel like it boosts your ability to hit a lot more, whereas limitless range is obviously not so much boosting your ability to hit. It is still going to be boosting your 3-point rating like any sharp takeover would, so that's something to just take into account. But either way, limitless range is obviously helping you hit from further away. The thing is that it's like super further away, so its utility and its need isn't really there. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as like chef and spot up and like, you know, limitless spot up when it comes to the shooting badges, where you don't really need to shoot from that deep, but it can be overpowered when you do it. And realistically, like I said, the only reason I even have this in the S tier is literally just that it's a sharp takeover. If you're talking like the ability of the takeover, its health, and only talking about that, it's probably like a B tier takeover if you ask me. And I feel like spot up precision and, you know, all types of these playmaker takeovers are way better. Like, the ability that you get with badge boost and with team takeover boost is through the roof. I can't but like stress enough how cool that ability is, whereas with limitless range it's not really necessary, to be completely honest with you. Next up, we got stuff blocks staying in the A tier. This is a really good rim protector takeover. It's by far the best one in the game. It's going to just allow you to get more blocks. I mean, with any rim protector takeover, it is increasing your ability to contest shots in the paint. And I feel like that's why I'm not the biggest fan of these 2 takeovers right here with interior badge drop and paint intimidation. Don't be wrong, I think interior badge drop is solid. If you had to split these up, interior badge drop is definitely one of the best C tiers, and this is definitely one of the lower ones if you ask me. But anyway, stuff blocks. It's just astounding how good interior defense you can play with this on. Like, you can drop out the corner, get crazy blocks. You can just play good chase down defense if you're playing on ball defense. If you're playing hedge D, you can get really crazy chase downs too. I mean, the takeover is just good, and honestly, like, its ability to pop on happens a lot. If you run rim protector on like gold or Hall of Fame and you have double rim takeover, your takeover is like instantly on after 1 block when you run accelerator. It's really crazy, and you can play for like team takeover off this too. It's a little bit dicey because obviously if you're going for team takeover and you're doing something aggressive like going for blocks, you might lose it if you foul somebody. But either way, stuff blocks is really good, and it's just crazy how good of chase downs you can play with this. Next up, we got team takeover boost. If you guys have seen the video on this, it is insane. I made it, and honestly, my boy Mio put me onto this takeover. It's crazy. Like, this might be one of the best takeovers in the game, only because it's so overpowered. Now, it's hard to execute on. You have to actually be playing with good people and be a good player yourself probably to have this really doing a lot for you. But either way, team takeover boost, what it's going to do is when you have it activated yourself, it's going to help your teammates get their takeover faster. Now, doubling up on this and having double team takeover boost activated got my teammate 1 block to go from single takeover to team take, just like that, in 1 block. It's really crazy. You can go ahead and check out the video after this one if you want, when you're done with these 2 takeovers we have left. But team takeover boost is insane. And on top of that too, we were even running 3 people that had it, and what we were doing was kind of just running cycles on it. I would pop my single team takeover boost that would help my other guards who had double team takeover boost. They would play for the double, and then my bigs would get the team takeover, and just like that, we would be going crazy. So long story short, I mean, the playmaker takeover itself, like I said, is also still good. So this is a really good takeover. I think it's definitely like top 3, top 2, to be completely honest with you. And top 2 of them might just be 2 playmaking takeovers, to be completely honest with you. So for our final 2 takeovers, we have pull-up precision coming in at the A tier, and we have spot-up precision staying in the S tier. Now, I knocked this pull-up precision down from S to A. It's gonna be the only S tier takeover that we had that is dropping. I feel like it's not because shot creators got nerfed by any means. If anything, they got buffed like crazy. I just feel like there's a lot more other reasonable options to run for your takeovers. It kind of came from the fact that Playmaker really just took over a little bit. These 2 right here really saw a big increase. Also, just once again, like, sharp takeover just rules. I mean, you can still shoot fades off of sharp takeover. It gets you really good 3-point attempts, and shot creator takeover is just not quite as good, but you can still see, I mean, all 3 shot takeovers are in the A tier. Shot creator takeover is still really good in all terms. Now, I feel like low-key ankle breaking shots is better than pull-up precision, to be honest with you, but pull-up precision might be a little bit more comp, so to say, where you're really efficient with what you do. Ankle breaking shots is really overpowered in a sense and is really flashy, but I feel like pull-up precision sees a little bit more competitive advantage. And again, I don't want to be talking down on a takeover because it's an A tier. I think that's crazy talk. For me to have a takeover in the A tier still means it's really good. It's still like a top 10 takeover, but when you add all this stuff up right here, and there are a lot of bad ones in this game. I mean, there are E tiers, D tiers, like even the C's are kind of unreasonable to run, and for it to be in the A is still good. Now, we have spotted precision, where this is going to help on any standstill jump shot. It honestly still helps you shoot fades. I mean, you're literally boosting your 3-point rating, so that's kind of a given, realistically. But anyway, spotted precision, good for catch and shoots, good for, you know, spot ups, good for pick and poppers, good for point guards. It still boosts your ability to shoot as a point guard like crazy. So don't look at this takeover and think that it's only for spotting up if you're new to the game. That's not by any means what this does. It's going to help your 3-pointers like crazy, and that's about as simple as that. It literally just boosts your ability to hit threes like crazy. So anyway, that's all for the takeover tier list. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. And like always, like I said, let's try and win 1,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put take in the comments to show your support to made it all the way through, or put your favorite takeover. Feel free to leave that in the comments. Let me hear some feedback in terms of what you guys think in terms of my tier list. If you think I got anything wrong, like I said, I love to, you know, have respectful back and forth conversation with you guys in the comments. If I see some toxic stuff though, I'm literally just skipping past it and just not phasing my day at all. So anyway, that's all for the video. Feel free to check out the badge takeover tier list as well. We did the finishing, playmaking, shooting, defense, all the last 4 days. So feel free to check those out. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed. Take these, man. Peace.